Hello Clever Pickles, thank you for joining me today for our handwriting practice where we are going to use the letter O to form some interesting words. Now to get started, make sure you're sitting properly, make sure your pencil grip is where it needs to be, not down here, not all the way at the top. Make sure your pencil is nice and sharp and that you can sit comfortably while focusing on your neatness and letter formation. Let's do some practice by starting with the long date across the top. You need to write down the date that it is for you. I'm going to practice by making up a date. I'm going to pretend that today is Friday, even though it's not. I'm going to make sure that my capital goes up and touches that top dotted line and that my Y in day comes down to that bottom dotted line without going past it. You will have to write that Y regardless of what day it actually is. I'm going to pretend it's the 30th. And numbers go up to the top dotted line. I'm going to stick with the month of March. That may not have been my neatest A, but that's okay. This is warm up. I don't mind if you spell something wrong here. It doesn't really matter even if you form a letter incorrectly up here because the date is us warming up our hands. Now, if you find at the end of the day your hand is already sore, it might mean that you're holding your pencil too tight or you're holding it the wrong way. So, give your wrist a little bit of a flick, a bit of a shake. Make sure you've got that nice and comfortable in your hand in a way that doesn't make you tired, but it also isn't too light on the page either. So today we're going to do the letter O. O is pretty much the same, whether it's a capital or a lowercase. So let's get started. We need to create an oval shape around. Now for a capital, we start at the top dotted line. We're going to curve down, touch the bottom straight line and come back up to where we started. So I'm going to start here, curve down, come back up and finish where I started. So it's not a circle, a perfect circle like this, because this would take up way too much space in our words. So I need to keep it this nice oval shape for a capital O. O for oval. Now I only need 6. 1, 2, 3. Here's my 4th one. Here is my 5th one. And there is my 6th one. And you can see I did that fairly quickly while still concentrating and taking my time. You can take longer if you want. If you need to pause the video, pause it now and you can catch up. Those of you that are ready, we're going to go to the next line for a lowercase o. Same thing, except we're staying in this space here, which we call the grass area. And let's have a bit of a reminder. This down here, this bottom section, we call the dirt. This middle section here with the straight lines, we call the grass. And the top section up here, where our capitals go, we call the sky. This is our reminder for where our letters go if you need it. You don't need to draw it across the whole page. Just that little reminder there should be enough for you. So let's practice lowercase o in between our two lines. I'm quite happy with that. Let's do another one. O. Now the tricky thing with O is when people rush, we end up with this. It could look like a capital, or it could get connected to another letter and look like something else entirely. Now, I know I can do better, so I'm going to try better on the next spot here. Now remember, the reason we do 6 of these is so our hand doesn't get tired and we can concentrate on each line properly. So what we're going to do now is put the letter O into some words at the beginning of the word. So let's start with open. P comes down the bottom and the rest of the letters are all in this middle section in the grass. Our next one, we have to do the word oval, surely. When O is the shape of an oval, of course we need to practice that word. And another word where most letters are in the middle and one letter goes up to the top section in the sky. Now our next one, we get to have fun and do the O 2 times with the word octopus. Octopus. This is an interesting one because the O makes 2 different sounds. O, octopus. So let's try this. ok. And there's our other O right there. And we have one letter that goes to the sky, one letter that goes into the ground, and the rest are all in the middle. Let's put O in the middle of some words, starting with the word cost. Now, cost is interesting because the C is very similar to the shape that we make for the O. Our next word, we're going to double it up and write soon. Now, if you need to go back and check the page where you did the letter S or the letter N, this is your chance to do it before you write this word. And let's do it again with the word moon. And we've also done the letter M before, which means these words should be super neat and tidy in those lines, looking lovely. Okay, just for some fun now, we're going to draw 6 more O's, and I think I'd like to mix it up. So I'm going to do 3 capital O's, O, 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 and 3 lowercase O's, nice and spaced out. You might want to put your finger there to remind you how much space to leave, or you could just imagine that the finger is there and you know how much space to leave. And what I'm going to do is very simply turn these into full moons. Each one is a moon. Our moon can make different shapes depending on the time of the month, and I'm going to make them full, and I'm going to put little craters on them. They might end up looking like cookies, but to me, I know it's a moon. Maybe I could put the face on there so it looks like the man on the moon, if you've seen that movie. There are my moons. I think they're moons. I'll stick with that. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me today to practice the letter O.